Coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona, home of Super Bowl 57, it's the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show with your hosts, Troy Geary, Will Stein, and Dave Stevens.
Well, I'm back. Did you expect me to be back so fast? Well, I've got an amazing guest for us coming up next, and it's really near and dear to my heart, especially with what we do at Ability Media at Quinnipiac University, where it is broadcasting and technology and media for those with disabilities like myself, teaching people with disabilities so they can have that voice. And I've got to bring in both of our guests today, but first I need to sing to our first guest. So
here she is, Miss America.
we are
Impressive.
joined here on Radio Row by current Miss America, Emma Broyles, and she's also joined from the Special Olympics, Renee Manfredi. I'll get that right by the end of the show. And we're going to talk, I don't even know what we talk about. I'm not pretty, so I don't even know what we talk about here. But it's great to have you here. That means if you've left Alaska, is anybody still in Alaska while you're gone?
I'm afraid not, because I am the sole individual who resides in Alaska. The state is now empty now
That's
that I have
right.
left.
They're
So
all here.
who knows what happens there.
And we'll talk about your crown and everything, but you're here for a reason, an important purpose. There's been a lot of amazing events here at the Super Bowl for Special Olympics. And again, what I've dealt with, and you don't know my story, but I was born without legs, and I was a three-sport athlete. I played college football. I didn't have any type of thing like this, and not that I would have, but it's so important for these kids to get these opportunities to just be normal, to be athletes. Right. And, so tell me how you got involved with this and why you're here.
Yeah, so my mother is a special education teacher, and she just happened to be, blessed with a child with an intellectual disability. So my older brother, Brendan, has Down syndrome. He's been a Special Olympics athlete since I was about 6 or 7 years old. So well over half of my life has been spent with Special Olympics. And it wasn't until I got into high school that I got involved at the higher level with Special Olympics Alaska. And once I won Miss America, I was able to work with Special Olympics at the national and international level and use my platform for good. And I very recently gave up my title as Miss America this last December. We've got a new Miss America now. She's from Wisconsin. Woo-woo. And I've been able to continue my work with Special Olympics. And one day, once I finish medical school, ideally I hope to help run Special Olympics' Healthy Athletes program. But it's been a really important program that's been near and dear to my heart, and doing what I can to make the world a more inclusive place for people like my brother.
And also sitting next to you, we've got someone from the Special Olympics. Yes. And Renee, tell me your involvement and why you were involved with Special Olympics at such a big event.
Absolutely. The reason I am here is because I'm not just a Special Olympics athlete. I am a global messenger, a health messenger, and a Sergeant Shriver International Global Messenger. As a health messenger, my platform is to promote inclusive health by educating medical care professionals about the importance of inclusive health and how people with intellectual disabilities face huge, dangerous, scary statistics. One statistic that sticks in my mind is that an individual with an intellectual and developmental disability can die 16 to 20 years earlier than an individual without an intellectual disability due to preventable health conditions. In other words, something like as simple as a cold could have been treated with the proper health care, and without it, there are so many athletes that are left out there vulnerable and facing death. And it's not really a statistic, but it's something called diagnostic overshadowing, which is basically when a doctor bases an individual's symptoms, whatever they're experiencing, on their syndrome alone, and they just dismiss it. They don't really hear what the individual is saying. And so it's very important to me to educate them to really take these statistics seriously and to hopefully educate them and offer suggestions and ideas on how to best treat their patients that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. I think the most important thing for them to learn is education, how to best treat their individuals with their patients that have IDD, because many individuals with IDD 50 years ago were institutionalized and they were not expected to live past the age of 20s. But lo and behold, here we are. We're still alive today. We're still kicking. And that education is lacking. So I feel as part of a health messenger, it's my opportunity to help them be educated, help them have training experiences. And Special Olympics provides that. They provide free training health courses on how they can treat their patients that have IDD.
And for you, Emma, I want to again talk about what it's like to be that relative of someone to watch. Because I remember my sister when I was little, she would get mad when people would stare. She'd be upset how they treated them. And, you know, you can't always be there for your brother. So I know how important this is for you. But what was that like growing up, you know, where he is just who he is, that's his normal, but everybody else is either teasing him, making fun, staring, and the things you had to deal with?
You know, it was really challenging. I remember one very specific moment. I think I would have been in 5th grade. My brother would have been in 6th grade. And there was a kid who called him the R word. And I was so furious, like, you know, 5th grade Emma, like ready to just absolutely beat the crap out of some kid because I was genuinely so upset. And I think that was the moment that I realized that I needed to do my part to make a change. And then once I got into high school, I actually was the president of our Special Olympics school program. We had over 200 members, the largest program in the state of Alaska. We were actually the first school in the state of Alaska to ultimately receive recognition from Special Olympics. And it was really cool getting to see, you know, a varsity football player walking down the hallway hand in hand with a student with autism. And that was really what inspired me and drove me to continue working with Special Olympics at a higher level to enact change here now at the national and international level.
And we talk about change that's needed, and let me get on my soapbox just for a millisecond, because I hate that term Special Olympics. I know I'm not going to ever get it changed, but if I'm an athlete, I don't want to be thought of as special. I would like us to think about a different term. I know we get oversensitive to terms, but it just, I don't, you know, and I'm not going to put you on the spot. It's my soapbox, but I think the term Special Olympics is something that was created by an old Kennedy back in the 60s, and now we've grown. And I would like to see some sort of like the heroic games or the, you know, something which describes these athletes better than special, because it's such a negative connotation if you're on the special bus or you're special this or whatever. It's like, I just want my kids to be as normal as possible and to be treated just like everyone else. And you don't have to comment on it. That was my comment, but I would like a better term to represent people that have really overcome so much. I don't know if you have any thoughts you're allowed to say.
I would like to say that, I guess from your perspective, that maybe the term special would be derogatory, but for me, I guess it depends on how you really take it. My mom always told me that I was special growing up. I never really felt special. I was mainstream my whole life. I was bullied, made fun of, high expectations for me in school to keep up like everybody else, behave like everybody else, keep up like everybody else, all those unrealistic expectations that I tried really hard to catch, but I couldn't. And so my mom was always telling me, don't worry, you're special. God made you special just how you are. And when I think of Special Olympics, I think of what my mom tells me. Perhaps special isn't meant to be derogatory. Perhaps when U.S. Kennedy Shriver came up with the term, it was for her to say, look, they're people. Yes. And in a way, they are special. Look how special God made them. I don't see that as derogatory. I think that's like saying, look at us. We may be different. We may have different abilities, but we're all human. And we are special just the way God made us.
And to your point, that's great. I mean, again, that's just my personal from the outside.
But I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, I hate the word handicap. You know, it's like it's a good term in golf. It's not a good term in life. And then they call someone disabled, the car is disabled, but we aren't. You know, and I've tried to take the dis out of disability all my life. And I would like to, you know, talk about what your brother's doing now, how his life has been and changed, and him being a part of what your world has been like.
Yeah. Well, I will say that's one of the big mottos of Special Olympics is focusing on ability rather than disability. And that's been something that I've found to really ring true about the organization. You know, I remember growing up with my brother Brendan, and my younger brother, my older brother, and I, we'd all be enrolled in the same sports. We would be on the same soccer team. And then as we got older, it'd be harder and harder for Brendan to keep up with the other kids his age. And so Special Olympics, if it weren't for Special Olympics, there would be nothing for him to do other than sit at home all day. I mean, now that he's graduated from, his post-college or his post-high school program, there's not really much for him to do aside from Special Olympics. So I'm just so grateful that there's a program that is so willing to provide him with all these different opportunities.
And now what we need to do, and this will be another half hour, is to talk about giving them employment opportunities and job opportunities. Right. You don't need to have everything to be able to perform certain tasks. And I think that's what we need to start doing, is giving them a sense of, just like I said, why not having legs is my normal? I don't like to be called anything else. And I think that most of them try to appreciate the independence and the ability to, just kind of do their own thing. And I know we got a big Olympics coming up in 2023 in the Games in Berlin, Germany. And that's what's cool. It's the biggest inclusive event in the world.
Crazy.
And so I just think that, as this continues and we grow, despite my not liking the name, what should we expect in 2023?
We should expect to see over 7,000 athletes competing, coming from around the world. 190 countries are coming to compete in 26 sports. We've got 3,000 coaches, 20,000 volunteers, and 500,000, I can't remember the term, but it's families and everyone coming just to see the world come together for one common goal, to compete in these amazing sports. And I will be there along with 9 other of my fellow Sergeant Shriver International Global Messengers. We will be there to cheer them on. It'll be an amazing event, and hopefully enough to show the world what we can do.
All right, Emma, where's your staff? You're
it is right over here. I know, no uniform today, I'm afraid, but there's the trademark, and this is actually the only gold sash in existence for the 100th anniversary, which is the year that I held the title.
So I can take a picture wearing that? You'll allow me to wear that for social media?
I think it's allowed. I might have to check my contract.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about that as we wrap things up. Being Miss America, what does that actually mean? I know you have to make appearances and things like that, but there's expectations, there's stuff that goes with it, and then it's a crown you wear forever.
Indeed. The biggest thing for me was having a national platform to speak about the things that were important for me. During the Miss America competition, when I won, I talked a lot about having ADHD and having OCD and kind of having these mental health disorder labels that were kind of looming over my head, and how I felt like they would impact my ability to finish medical school and ultimately become a doctor, and that they would affect how people viewed me. And in fact, people were pretty harsh about me winning Miss America. A lot of people thought that I wouldn't be able to do it because I had, because I had ADHD. They were like, no way she's going to survive a year as Miss America. But in fact, I did. And I was able to thrive and advocate for things that are important to me, like Special Olympics and mental health awareness. But I think the biggest thing for me was just showing people that Miss America isn't necessarily the perfect person, but in fact, she's representative of all women.
Yeah, it's really changed from bathing suits and all those kind of things to more important topics and things.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of them, the representation, and it still holds some clout when you walk into a place and it's like, Miss America's here and Renee's here. We got both of you together on such a great event. So what's your future now that you've kind of handed off your crown? What are you going to be doing in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so I'm actually finishing up my undergraduate degree here at Arizona State University. So only Sun Devils. Let's go. It's only a 40-minute drive from here. I actually came from a biochemistry lab this morning straight to here. And I'll finish my undergraduate degree, head to medical school, and then ultimately likely return to Alaska to practice medicine.
They never think of you guys having beauty and brains, do they?
I know, and actually I won $100,000 worth of scholarship money when I won Miss America, which is going to help me pay for medical school because it's pretty darn expensive. I'll tell you that right now.
We'll start a GoFundMe for you.
Yeah.
Man, what's going on with you in the future? Just representing Special Olympics, or what's your life like?
My life as of right now is I will have the opportunity to attend the 2023 World Games in Berlin, Germany, which will be very, very fun. I am a Special Olympics International paid consultant, so I hopefully will continue my employment with them, and we'll just go from there. It just takes a leap of faith for me. I know I hope to continue to compete in Special Olympics. The cool thing about Special Olympics is that there's no age limit. You can keep going until you decide when you want to stop or retire, as we say. And so for now, my goal is to keep going.
All right, last question. What's Miss America's goal for, let's say, 20 years from now?
Well, I hope that as the organization continues to grow and change alongside society, that we'll continue to be an inclusive organization, that people feel like they can really see themselves in Miss America, and they feel like they actually have a chance at winning Miss America, and that the scholarship dollars that they can earn are actually completely possible, and that they can ultimately continue their higher education.
Will we ever see somebody with a disability or a wheelchair or crutches ever get to that level at Miss America?
You know, that is my hope for the future. And I think being able to live in a world where I can be Miss America and talk about having ADHD and OCD is already a tremendous leap that we've made of progress. And so I hope that in the continuing years, we'll continue to see tremendous amounts of inclusion.
What a treat. Renee, Emma, thank you for being a part of us. I know it's a sports show, but man, what you guys are doing is so important to the rest of the world. And just keep being that champion. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to your brother. And enjoy the Special Olympics next year. It sounds like a really great thing what you're doing. So both of you, thank you for being a part of our show. And of course, our show is sponsored by. What are they sponsored by? Well, I'll tell you. We have Fresh Clean Tees. That's right. Fresh Clean Tees, Fresh Clean Threads, formerly Fresh Clean Tees, is giving us 25% off this week for our show only. There are hundreds of shows out there that are around the world that have Fresh Clean Threads, but guess what? Our code is the only code you can use to get 25% off this week during the Super Bowl week. Go to freshcleantees.com/show, type in the code touchdown, and guess what? You're going to get 25% off of your order. So that's it from Radio Row again. It's just the hits keep coming, Renee. And Emma, thank you for being a part of it. I'm Dave Stevens. You never know who we got coming up next. Dana White, UFC president. Don't go away.